because her coach decided that well, not decided, her coach stood on her ankle. Her coach stood on her ankle, and she yeah, it's just not ideal. If you guys haven't seen it here, let's take a look. Caitlin Clark, Brianne January, she's in pain. Chloe Bibby is looking in shock.
This campaign has been marked by setbacks from the very start. There's hardly another way to describe what has taken place. Clark has been battling ongoing health issues for some time, and now a new ankle problem has added to her struggles. The Indiana Fever organization seems to be enduring an extraordinary run of misfortune. While several factors have affected Clark's physical condition, one incident in particular stands out. She aggravated an existing injury when a member of the coaching staff accidentally stepped on her ankle during a game.
Chloe Bibby's looking in shock, and her own assistant coach stamps on her ankle in a game. Like, it has to be one of the craziest things I think I have ever seen in basketball. I have to say, like, this whole season is cursed. This whole season is
Video footage captures the moment when assistant coach Brianne January inadvertently made contact with Clark's ankle while moving along the sideline. The clip shows Clark visibly in pain, with Chloe BBY reacting in shock to the incident. Witnessing a player sustain further injury due to accidental contact from a member of their own coaching staff is both unusual and troubling. This episode underscores the extraordinary challenges the franchise has faced this season. Careful review of the footage makes it clear that January had no intention of harming Clark. Although some extreme opinions have speculated about malicious intent from veteran players or staff toward Clark, such theories lack credibility and reflect conspiracy thinking rather than rational analysis.
Absolutely cursed when it comes to the Indiana Fever. It is cursed. There's no other way that I can describe it. There's no other way. But yeah, it's a tough one. It is a real tough one to have to deal.
The reality seems to be that this is yet another chapter in what can only be described as a nightmarish season, where nearly every possible setback has occurred. While a bone contusion of this nature might not typically sideline a player of Clark's caliber, most competitive athletes would push through such discomfort. The combination with her other ongoing physical issues makes the impact far more significant. The situation naturally evokes sympathy for Clark, who clearly wants nothing more than to compete on the court. Whether facing her body's limitations, physical clashes with opponents, or freak accidents like a coaching staff member stepping on her ankle, she has confronted every conceivable obstacle. This particular ankle aggravation, though minor on its own, rose from highly unlikely circumstances, similar to how athletes sometimes suffer major injuries through everyday, mundane activities.
It is a real tough one to have to deal with. Like, I cannot believe we're finding footage of like where Caitlin Clark is randomly aggravating injuries. So it does seem like her damn her coach, and this is not on Brianne January. Like, Brianne January obviously did not try to injure Caitlin Clark. I know there are some crazy fans.
These incidents fall into the category of unpredictable accidents that cannot be anticipated or prevented. Recent reports have highlighted inconsistencies regarding the nature and timing of Clark's various injuries. Early accounts described a minor ankle tweak, which later evolved into reports of a bone bruise. The shifting narrative and delayed disclosure of details have created confusion among fans and media observers. Some sources suggested that Clark would miss significant time without offering specifics or timelines. This approach, claiming insider knowledge while withholding concrete information, has frustrated supporters seeking transparency about the condition of their star player.
crazy fans that are going to be like, well, yeah, Brianne January obviously tried to injure Caitlin Clark. Like, they all want Caitlin Clark gone. She's old WNBA. Like, no. Let's be honest here. Let's be completely honest. And let's not go full on unhinged. I understand it's easy to go conspiracy theory unhinged on things. It is very, very easy. It is very, very easy, especially with the way things have gone with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Like, look.
The broader implications extend beyond Clark's personal circumstances and affect the league as a whole. Her limited availability, appearing in only 13 games this season, has had a noticeable impact on attendance and viewership across multiple franchises. Clark's drawing power is evident in how her presence consistently fills opposing teams' venues, a rarity in professional women's basketball. Few teams can generate significant away attendance, yet the Fever have become an exception thanks to her appeal. This reliance on a single player underscores both her importance and the league's vulnerability when she is unavailable.
I'm not the one saying that there's not been some awful things that have happened around Caitlin Clark. But what I am saying is this is clearly just the season from hell. This is just a season from hell. Like, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And look, I don't think the bone bruise is affecting. I think she would play on a bone bruise. I think she would play on a bruised leg. That's just my opinion.
The accumulating evidence suggests that Clark's return timeline remains uncertain. Earlier projections had expressed greater confidence in her comeback, but recent developments, including the footage of the ankle incident, have tempered those expectations. The combination of ongoing groin rehabilitation, ankle complications, and the unusual circumstances surrounding these injuries has created a complex recovery scenario. The frequency of setbacks and the extraordinary nature of some incidents continue to make this season historically challenging for both Clark and the franchise. Each new development appears to present additional obstacles to her return to full competition.
I think she will play. But obviously, there's a whole bunch of other things. That are just... That's just a tough one. There's a whole bunch of other things that are affecting her, whether it be her body, whether it be... I just feel bad for her at this stage. I actually just feel bad for her.
Indiana continues to face mounting challenges as another key contributor is added to the growing injury list. Sophie Cunningham's season-ending announcement further depletes the roster, creating additional obstacles for the franchise's playoff aspirations. The injury toll for Indiana has become substantial. Cindy Coulson remains sidelined for the remainder of the season, while Ari McDonald also received a season-ending designation earlier. Cunningham now joins this unfortunate group after suffering an MCL tear.
I just feel bad for her at this stage. I actually just feel bad for her. I feel bad for Caitlin Clark because she clearly just wants to go and play basketball. And everything, whether it be her body letting her down, whether it be her getting knocked on her ass by other players, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, it seems. Like, we actually have seen a situation.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's absence persists with no definitive return timeline, as she has missed significant portions of recent games. Cunningham's loss deals a substantial blow to the team's composition, as her contributions span multiple areas, including perimeter shooting, veteran leadership, and defensive intensity. While the MCL diagnosis is preferable to a potential ACL injury, which could have sidelined her for an even longer period, she remains unavailable for the remainder of the season. In response, management has acquired Shea Petty through available roster mechanisms to help fill the gap.
No clarity on that topic, and the moves that they've made in the process since aren't related to Clark's injury. So that's the long and short of it. When you're dealing with it for the Indiana Fever, they make another move in the process of Sophie announcing her being out with an MCL tear, which, by the way, the MCL tear, relatively speaking, is good news because it's not an ACL tear. She's not out for like a year or anything, but she's out for the rest of this year. and they're going to miss her toughness, they're going to miss her shooting, they're going to miss...
This transaction appears to be structured as a direct replacement for Kyra Lambert, who previously occupied a similar roster spot. Petty brings professional experience from her recent tenure with the Sparks, where she averaged 5 points and 2.7 assists during her most recent campaign. Some observers have questioned the addition of another guard to the current roster, but available talent pools are limited at this stage of the season. Most organizations have already finalized their preferred roster configurations and addressed earlier injury situations
of this year. And they're going to miss her toughness, they're going to miss her shooting, they're going to miss her playmaking to a degree. The other move that they made was the signing of Shea Petty. This is essentially one-for-one swap with Kyra Lambert from the way it seems to be understood here. More of a veteran presence, another small guard. I know people are going to complain about that, but she most recently played with the Sparks. They're just signing former Sparks players since McDonald and now Petty here, averaging 5 points, 2.7 assists on a hard...
The remaining unsigned players represent a limited pool, making targeted position fills increasingly challenging. Team officials have clarified that these roster moves are independent of Clark's rehabilitation process. According to organizational statements, the Lambert to Petty transition was primarily aimed at maintaining depth and balance within the roster, rather than directly addressing Clark's absence.
As far as the small guard complaint goes, guys, I mean, one thing you have to remember is you are scraping the bottom of the barrel, and I don't mean this as a disrespectful way to put it, just in the sense that all the teams have already filled their roster. They've already scoured the market. They've already brought in injury replacements. There aren't that many players left available. Maybe you find a diamond in the rough, and the Fever did that with Ari McDonald. Then as far as
Cunningham must miss an official game before a hardship waiver can be activated, meaning her direct positional replacement cannot be pursued immediately. Friday's matchup against Minnesota represents the first opportunity for this process to begin. Looking ahead, questions about roster construction remain, even assuming full health returns. The current roster differs significantly from previous season configurations. However, when Clark and Kelsey Mitchell share court time, the team's offensive capabilities remain formidable against any opposition.
For Sophie Cunningham, well, I don't think that becomes available until Cunningham misses a game. So, to me, the Petty Lambert was a swap. For whatever reason, Lambert didn't work out. They didn't think she was good enough. Again, they needed a veteran, whatever the case may be. That was sort of a one-to-one swap versus Sophie's replacement coming a little bit later down the line. The Fever confirmed this was not related to Caitlin Clark.
Supporting player development becomes increasingly important during this challenging period. Odyssey Sims displayed promising signs in a recent second-half performance, indicating potential contributions if given consistent opportunities. Brianna Turner deserves greater consideration over current frontcourt alternatives, providing superior defensive presence, rebounding, and more reliable offensive decision-making. Turner's overall impact appears more beneficial than other available options. Despite the adversity, team chemistry and emotional support continue to remain strong.
To Caitlin Clark, these moves, this is from the Indy Star, little section of that piece right here, screen grab. The switch from Lambert to Petty, this Chloe Peterson, had to do with attempting to fill the void of Cunningham's veteran impact on the floor as much as possible. It is also because the Fever only have 2 hardship spots at the moment. Indiana will become eligible to sign a 3rd hardship player after Friday's game against Minnesota, as Cunningham needs to miss a game before the hardship waiver activates. So there you have it. As far as that,
social media interactions highlight genuine concern and encouragement among teammates. Despite her absence, Clark remains actively involved in supporting team morale through both public messaging and private outreach. Greater clarity regarding her condition would benefit stakeholders, given the widespread interest and invested fan base. Organizational leadership has emphasized a deliberate, step-by-step rehabilitation approach, avoiding any rush in her return. Coach Stephanie White expressed optimism about Clark's potential availability before the season concludes, though specific timelines remain undisclosed.
As far as that goes, when you're talking about replacing Cunningham, who's just going to be, it's just going to be difficult to replace. And you look at the structure of the team now and the lineup, and you do wonder, even when they're back to full strength, how much different it is than last season. But you have to maintain, when you've got Clark and Mitchell on the floor, you can cook anybody. And then other players maybe step up. I mean, can Odyssey Sims play like she did in the second half of that game?
The measured approach reflects appropriate medical caution, yet more detailed communication regarding progress markers or potential scenarios could help address legitimate curiosity from supporters. Participation in practice would provide visible evidence of Clark's advancement, though recent team schedules have included multiple rest days. The difficulty of the remaining schedule compounds these challenges. Analytical projections indicate that Indiana faces the league's most demanding remaining slate, largely due to 3 upcoming matchups with Minnesota, including the regular season finale, when the Lynx may rest key players if playoff positioning is already secured.
Sims play like she did in the second half of that game. Can Brianna Turner bring something you hadn't seen before? Because I want to see more from Brianna Turner rather than Dantas at this point. At least, Turner can play defense and rebound. And she makes, better decisions offensively. She's certainly not an offensive stalwart, but she makes better decisions offensively than Timpson to me. So I would like to see Turner play more for this team going forward. You got to see what Sims can bring to the table. You got to give.
However, the immediate schedule presents potential opportunities. Minnesota faces 3 games in 4 days, Tuesday in New York, Thursday in Atlanta, and Friday in Indiana, including back-to-back matchups with travel demands. Indiana benefits from 4 days of rest before Friday's game, creating favorable conditions for a potential upset. While acknowledging Minnesota's superior form, fatigue could temporarily level the competitive dynamics. Fresh legs against weary opponents offer Indiana its best chance for a surprising outcome during this challenging stretch.
See what Sims can bring to the table. You got to give them a chance to bring in a Sophie Cunningham replacement, which would be in the form of a wing, I would imagine. A player who can swing like that. And then, there's still the emotions of the team. I mean, this is Caitlin Clark. Love you always, Soph. And then Sydney Colson says, hey, y'all, Ari McDonald, Caitlin Clark, get a load of this guy, Sophie Cunningham. Shake my head crazy, bro, says Clark, who's still sidelined. And
Clark's eventual return at full capacity could dramatically transform the team's capabilities. Her potential impact explains the sustained attention and confidence in the organization's ceiling. Recent performances reflect her continued competitive spirit despite mounting obstacles, signaling no intention to abandon the season's goals. The franchise faces increasingly narrow margins for playoff qualification, yet its established resilience offers hope in navigating the remaining challenges. Each game carries heightened importance as accumulated injuries continue to test both depth and determination.